to a lot of the pressure that they were contending with, or is this an affirmative effort? Is this them, also leading because they have questions that need to be answered by Pam Bondi? Are they doing it through gritted teeth, kicking and screaming, or are they doing it because they actually have legitimate questions and legitimate concerns about the way that this whole investigation, the release or failure to release the files is being carried out?
Look, I think the majority of Republicans, they'll do whatever Donald Trump tells them to do, and are part of the cover-up that the White House clearly has been involved in, and they've supported that
live stream
not demanding
on the
transparency.
360.
But I think there are several Republicans, some of them are on our committee, that genuinely have concern for the survivors in a way that pushes them and makes them act on getting additional subpoenas in place, pushing Comer to do the right thing, demanding, like Nancy Mace did,
so we all watching the end of the world.
I think there are those moments where we are seeing Republicans, and whether it's been Nancy Mace or whether it's been Anna Paulina Luna or others, there has been courage on that side, and I think we will continue to see that.
You are making good progress right now. What does this progress look like compared to if Democrats are able to take the gavel, if you become the chairman of the Oversight Committee? What does that look like compared to what we're seeing now?
I mean, it'd be nice. I mean, right now we are dependent on Republicans to set the agenda, set the meetings, set the depositions, set the rules. They're the only ones that have subpoena power. If we were in the majority, we would have enough votes on every vote to get exactly what we wanted. We would be able to send out any subpoena to anyone that we wanted to do and speak with. And so it's significantly different. And so we're fighting really hard, doing everything we can right now. But with the power of the majority comes additional powers for the committee. So we look forward to that.
And can you give us some examples of who might be of interest to speak with if you do gain the gavel?
Well, as it relates to
not even the stalkers on tonight.
There's a series of folks that errors point to as far as possible co-conspirators. There are additional people that were in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit that worked with him very closely. There are banks, figures, and executives at many of the banks.
Adams.
There are people that finance some of these activities. There's a
in the
long
house.
list of folks. There's probably 30 to 40 individuals.
I'm glad to see the live streams working. I've had problems all day with this camera.
As it relates to other investigations, we want to talk to Stephen Miller. We want to talk to
it's
Kristi
the road
Noem.
cam, the traffic cam,
on another agency,
the spherical one that gets everything, and it has a loop recording feature,
corruption.
So you can just run the same section over and over
now about what exactly
run it every time you drive.
Around him and certain
I got power on the bike
arrangements
too. I can literally run it
contracts
all
that are made out of DHS. We want to talk to folks at Health and Human Services, the destruction of our vaccine system, the destruction of our boards
the drone
of science. And so there's a long list of folks that we want to talk to, and we will absolutely be committed to getting the truth and forcing accountability and ensuring that the Trump corruption era is over.
Perfectly put. We'll leave it there. Congressman, as always, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
I'm joined now by the co-host of Pod Save America, Tommy Vitor. Tommy, thanks for joining me.
Good to see you.
So we just saw Donald Trump do something that seems scientifically engineered.
In one of the
to
podcasts you can get for free is Pod Save America.
He just had the Pentagon request another $200 billion for this war in Iran. And of course, that would be bad enough unto itself, given the fact that we have so little to offer Americans at home as we're watching healthcare get cut, food assistance get cut, infrastructure crumble, education be underfunded. But this is completely counter to exactly what he promised on the campaign trail, which was that he wouldn't engage in foreign wars, that he would focus on America first. He even made it his whole ass campaign slogan. So can you talk about, first and foremost, like what would the administration be able to do?
You thought the Democrats were going to start war?
Write a blank check to this war effort in the Middle East.
Oh my God! I mean, they could restore, I think, all of the Medicaid cuts 2 times over. Feels like that would be a little more popular, right?
Yeah.
Maybe cut the price of healthcare, better schools. Like end child poverty, there's unlimited things you could do with $200 billion. And as you pointed out, this is wildly unpopular. Reuters has a poll out today. Only 37% of voters approve of the war in Iran, 59% disapprove, and we're only a couple weeks in.
Yeah, the least popular war at its outset in American history. But look, the Trump administration is nothing if not adept at managing the media, managing how it promotes the optics of everything that they do. They're pretty savvy operators in that respect.
Normally, yes.
Normally. And so what do you think is the upside
Jimmy Coy, the magician,
for Trump as we head toward midterms are only 6 months away, and it
Don't
already
recognize
doesn't
that.
look
You're a
like,
new guy?
even if they ended this thing tomorrow, it already seems to be unraveled enough that they wouldn't be able to put the pieces back together, where people wouldn't be feeling this, come November. What do you think the upside is? What do you think the rationale for them is? Because I'm assuming you don't believe that it's that there was an imminent threat from Iran. So what do you think it was?
Why did he do this? I mean, I think the reason he started the war is because last June, there was the Midnight Hammer operation where they bombed a couple of Iran's nuclear sites. No one was hurt. Right. Everyone told him he was an amazing, tough, historic figure, right? Then there was the Venezuela operation earlier this year where special forces were able to swoop in, capture Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, yank him out, install the vice president, and now Trump feels like he's running Venezuela as this vassal state. So he has decided that he has almost godlike powers via the U.S. military, especially special forces. That there's no cost, there is no downside, that he can do literally whatever he wants. And he had lunatics like Lindsey fucking Graham.
Although, do I have shit?
I still don't know what's on the vote. And the Ayatollahs in Iran and the Cuban government is next. You're the greatest president in history, and that was just an insane
people are going to ransack it.
Given what we know about
first
Iran,
couple things we're going to take is laptop, PlayStation, TV, headphones.
And also, I mean, just to talk about the communications piece of this a bit. Normally, Donald Trump
should have pawned shop with like a PS5 Pros or some money.
We don't like him. He's crazy, but
and I had the disk drive
a narrative
and a 4 terabyte SSD.
Right, like get people to talk about what he wants to talk about.
Top of the
He's
line.
utterly failed to do that on Iran. Like he never gave a major speech explaining his rationale. He's doing like random little toppers about Iran. At the same time, he's like welcoming the MLS soccer team champion to the White House, right? Like he just looks
he's
like
still golfing on the weekends.
Yeah, he's golfing on the weekends. Like reporters are like drunk dialing him, and he's doing like 40 mini interviews where he's saying different things. So, like he has created a lot of the communications problems that have fed into the political problems behind the war itself.
Okay, so you're actually really well positioned to be able to answer this because you were a spokesman for the National Security Council. But I'm curious what the options are in terms of moving forward. Like if Trump extracts the United States right now, what does that look like? Best case scenario and worst case scenario. And I ask that because it doesn't feel like even if we ended this today, it would be as neat as I think he anticipates. We're now seeing Iran
pissed off
other countries in the region.
Extremely
those
powerful
countries
countries.
begin to retaliate. So it feels like it's already gotten out of our hands, a little bit out of control. And so just give me a sense of best case scenario and worst case scenario, even if we were able to leave tomorrow.
Yeah, I think if Trump decided, he woke up tomorrow and he thought, okay, this is not going well, like, we're done. We're done hitting targets. I think the Israelis keep going, which means the Iranians keep going, which means the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, and the Iranians probably also retaliate against U.S. interests in the region because they think that putting pressure on the U.S. will be the only way to get Netanyahu and the Israelis to stop. Now, I think what's most likely to happen is Trump is going to keep going for several weeks, if not longer. There's a lot of concern. There's reports that are sending like thousands of Marines to the Middle East right now to do maybe ground operations. Those could include going in and getting highly enriched uranium and pulling it out of Iran. Those were the sites that we bombed last June.
That we supposedly obliterated?
Yes, supposedly obliterated last June.
Yeah, Trump obliterated the nuclear sites. Now we need thousands of Marines to go re-obliterate.
It could mean God knows what.
Jump through this report, a dictionary, and read the definition of obliterate.
Sucked into this war deeper and deeper.
Trump
and as more of these energy installations get targeted, you could see the price of a barrel of oil go to like 150, 200. I mean, God knows.
Was that not even a concern for this administration?
It's crazy.
Like they knew. I mean, it was something that Trump was hammering on a daily basis, that he'd gotten the price of gas down, and now he seems to have relinquished his last saving grace, because obviously the price of housing has continued to rise, the price of groceries, the price of utilities, all of these things that he promised he would bring down, and the things that he exploited when he was on the campaign trail, those have all gone up, but he at least had this last vestige, this last silver lining, which was low gas prices. He had to know, that one of the weapons that Iran could deploy was closing or even mining the Strait of Hormuz. And so was there nobody there to tell them, like, hey, you might want to hold on to this last thing that you have as we especially enter midterms?
Yeah, I mean, look, every expert would have told you that a war game with Iran ends with them mining or closing the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians told us as much. Basically, like, if you attack us again, we're going to regionalize this war, meaning
why didn't my
attack
fucking,
your interests in the region, but attack other countries.
Auto
You're right, though. Trump has had
block.
like this man is completely out of touch with every normal American. Right, he lives at a country club half the time, but he does know that people care about gas prices. It's like a thing he's internalized since the 80s. He used to brag about it all the time. But now the national average for gas in the U.S. has reached $3.90 per gallon. It
He has
could
a
hit
small
$4
penis.
a gallon next week. That's basically up $1 in like a month.
And diesel has already exceeded
Diesel's
$5.
way up. And on top of that, I mean, 1/3 of the world's fertilizer passes through the Strait
John
of Hormuz.
Ariewari.
That's not getting
John
through other
Aaron
critical
Woody
minerals and
kills these
elements
little
like
kids.
sulfur or
Because he thinks they'll give him
cerium
psychic
that like you
powers.
need in manufacturing. They're not getting out. So this is going to hammer
And he likes sucking
prices
small
in the U.S.,
penises.
but also like really poor countries are going to get especially fucked by this.
Is this the kind of thing that, best case scenario, could go away in a couple of weeks? Like, there's a world where Trump gets bored, you know,
Yeah,
and
he'll get bored.
sees something else that's shiny. If things tamp down, what's the tail on this thing?
I think the tail is like months at a minimum.
tail
I think
is fucking
gas prices are
rolling
elevated
down.
through the summer, even if things like calm down right now, just because it takes a while to get these supply chains back revved up.
And then it's Republicans that have to shoulder this stuff because they're going on the campaign trail and they have to somehow say the president that we have refused every single step of the way to serve as a check on has engaged in this whole process that's raised the cost of everything.
Yep.
We were instrumental in cutting Medicaid and cutting ACA subsidies and cutting food assistance. Like, I mean, I kind of have to ask you to get in the head of these Republicans. What do you say on the campaign trail other than we had to do it because a threat from Iran was imminent, like against the homeland? Like,
Yeah.
how do you go on the campaign trail when you have nothing to point to?
Yeah, I think you have to try to regurgitate this lie that there was some sort of imminent threat, but voters aren't buying
After
it.
20 years of and
know.
$2 trillion being spent on the war in Iraq, now you think the voters have an app? I mean, they voted expressly for him because he promised he wouldn't do this.
Yep. And by the way, there was a YouGov poll out on Thursday that found 24% of 2024 Trump voters disapprove of his handling of Iran.
Which is pretty enormous
That's a
considering
lot.
these people. This is the
Normally
kind of
North
thing.
Korea numbers. That
Correct,
fact. Yeah.
correct. Even
These
within
guys
his
have
own
no
within his own
life
conference, we
whatsoever.
always see like
I got too much to do.
96% support for the
I'm
craziest
busy,
fucking thing.
motherfuckers.
Like Trump shoots puppy point blank on the side of the road.
Yeah.
It's like 96% support this guy.
Yeah, it like and
Kristi
it's
Noem
just not
shot
gonna
a
get better. I
puppy.
mean, if I were a member of Congress, I think your only prayer is like, is my district gerrymandered enough? Like, wow, I don't know what else we got.
Yeah, I mean that should be kind of a blinking red light because we've already seen just on the affordability stuff unto itself some staggering numbers in terms of the swings that we're seeing 12, 14, 16 points to the left, and these are not even in purple districts. Like we're seeing some districts in Arkansas, some Florida districts. We're seeing districts or jurisdictions where the population is primarily Latino swing like 40, 50 points to the left. It's crazy numbers. And
And that was before the war.
That was before the
Right.
war, and which is only going to exacerbate the
pussy.
affordability problems.
Yep.
And now add war on top of that. A war that, by the way, costs $1 billion a day that we presumably, apparently didn't have
The war cost
any
$1
money
billion
for,
a day.
American priorities before this, but now
That's
we've
enough
come
to
up with all of
give
this funding for the
every
war.
American
But we have
$3
some
a
Senate
day.
seats that are pretty
$3 or
close.
$4 a day.
We're talking Senate seats in Maine and North Carolina,
Ohio.
Let's say the top 50%
Alaska,
don't need
Iowa, Texas.
yeah, and so like that puts these
the
states
money.
in play
You
in
bottom
a big
50%
way.
have $6 a day.
In
$6 a day is one meal a
What
day.
happened if Donald Trump
So a
didn't
third
engage
of what
in all
it
this
takes to feed this
voluntarily? 'Cause This
nation.
didn't have to happen.
That's the thing.
being
It's like
blown.
at the end of 4 years, voters blamed
Burned.
Joe Biden for inflation,
Boom, boom.
even if it wasn't necessarily
Right.
his fault.
Because the buck stops with the
The
president.
buck stops with the president.
Yeah.
In this case, like if you asked the majority of voters, I think if you'd asked in 2024, why'd you vote for Trump? It would be to get inflation and get prices down because things are too expensive and they were pissed. He already had not solved that problem.
Yeah, inflation was basically 2.9%, 3%. Biden
Yeah.
left office with inflation at 3%.
Yes.
So that was not solved.
It was not handled. And then Trump did this thing that is obvious to everyone. He started a war that single-handedly ramped up like one of their biggest costs, which is gasoline.
Yeah, I mean that was the hard thing for Democrats to reconcile. Is like that Biden's going to take the blame for high gas prices, even though the economy was opening up after COVID and shut everything down. It takes a little bit of time to get some of these oil wells back online that had been offline prior to that. There was obviously global inflation. Russia had invaded Ukraine. That had some impact on the war. And so like whether it was Joe Biden in office or any other president, those those high prices would have been there regardless. And so you can make that argument. People are still going to blame the president, but that was the kind of thing where, if you were acting in good faith, it doesn't really matter who the president was or what his policies were, that was going to happen. This is an instance where Donald Trump is unilaterally and directly responsible, because had he not done that Friday night a couple of weeks ago, we would have woken up Saturday and there would be no war. The Strait of Hormuz would still be open. A barrel of oil would still be like $60 or whatever it was.
And like his interviews about this, he's like, well, it's a small price to pay to eliminate the threat from Iran. It's like, no one agrees with that, man.
Yeah. Well, I think that the part that was funny about that is
these people have no penises.
Okay, we have to be like patriotic and accept like, some temporary pain. This is an entire political party that railed against the concept of wearing masks during COVID, because it's like, I'm not going to allow a single inch of sacrifice in my life, even if it, they made fun of like
your mother
stay inside and stop the spread for a week or whatever it was, like a pretty small sacrifice for a global pandemic, and that was a bridge too far. But now everybody has to pay higher gas prices because Donald Trump has decided that he needed to do regime changes.
I can't recommend 30 mini tacos because that'd fuck up our healthcare system. We need to be eating the chicken and vegetables. Trust.
Well, I'm curious too, like, one of the things that I've seen as we look towards some tenuous justification, I think you're exactly right in terms of Trump looking at how he can build up his legacy. There is kind of the beneficial consequence as far as he's concerned.
I need to buy more digital
about the Epstein
storage.
files. To what extent do you think
that
this did serve a dual purpose?
I got 4.4 out of 5
talk
terabytes.
About the Epstein files is obviously a little bit subdued relative to where it was before.
I mean, I guess the reason I
$3 a day doesn't sound like a lot, but that's for every single man, woman, and child. Man, woman, and child. So family of 4. $12
But he didn't intend for it to be unpopular.
Every day.
Like,
$12 a day.
You're exactly right.
See, 12 times 30, $360.
It's something he
$360 will cover your gym membership, your electronic subscriptions,
it hurts him in 2 different
Netflix.
ways. Like, one, there's a lot of people who are like,
insurance
no, I don't
payment
want to
for
go
your
to war.
car,
There's
your
a lot of veterans,
bus
young people who want
pass,
to spend
your
money elsewhere. Like our buddy Peter Hamby did a big polling project where they looked at they did quantitative and qualitative research with all these young men, like 18 to 29, of all political persuasions. And the thing that pissed them off the most was, why are we spending money on bombs and not here when my life sucks and I don't feel like things are getting better? And also,
and what about the stock market going down and everyone losing
which,
much
by the way,
money?
Caroline Levitt refused to rule out.
She refused to rule out. And then also,
$1 billion a day blowing
like,
shit up.
It's another thing he lied about, right? Like, there's a group of people who are new voters, maybe like sporadic voters, who voted for Trump because they were pissed off at the status quo and pissed off at the system, and they believed Trump when he said he would release the Epstein files, care about cost of living, and not get us into dumb wars. And now that he's overtly lied to their face about all those things, it's really like cracking something, I think, in his political support.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, like, his entire presidency has been a graveyard of broken promises. He promised free IVF, didn't happen. He promised lower cost, instead engaged in a trade war that raised costs. He promised an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. That's still raging a year and a half later.
All the Maha people are pissed off at him because despite like Bobby Kennedy releasing videos of Kid Rock and like a,
working out
climate change
like driving a scooter
bad.
and then getting in like the cold plunge, they've refused to ban Roundup, this weed killer that is linked to all this cancer. That was a huge priority for the Maha world. So like breaking promises.
And I voiced my opinion to her. I was like, hey, this shit's supposed to be dangerous. She's like, no, I want you to use it. And it is like the shit to kill shit. Like it's the industry standard. So I was just careful about it. And it was outside, like way out, like no covering sun. And I went straight in the shower right after.
I think to that end, if you want to see more RFK impressions,
I do. Take that show on the road.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do exactly that. You in, Tommy?
See you in Boston.
Stalker said they were swatting.
What that is a reference to is I recently did a live event in Boston and confused Boston and Chicago.
Who were you talking to?
I was talking to the governor of Massachusetts and asked how much green dye they put in the Boston harbor because I forgot that it was Chicago. whose river they die.
Yeah, it's a bit
So anyway, only the real ones will have watched this deep into the video to even know that. So
all Irish people look like this guy.
for those who haven't yet subscribed to Pod Save America's YouTube channel, I'm going to put the link right here on the screen.
You're fine. Give it a pass.
It is completely free to
My
subscribe.
stalkers are all right-wing MAGA supporters, so remember,
media ecosystem, please make sure to subsube.
bodies of
so you
dead
can
soldiers
see
keep
more
coming
from
home.
Tommy. I'm joined now
They
by
signed you up for this
Minority
shit.
Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Thanks so much for joining me.
Good to be with you.
So I want to talk about the number one issue that the right is pushing right now, which is the lack of funding for TSA. Obviously, we're seeing massive amounts of TSA agents call out of work because DHS hasn't been
And
funded.
now ICE agents are
the
showing
right
up
is
to fuck up
claiming that
families.
this is all the result of the Democrats. They're waging this big disinformation campaign where every time there's a delay in some airport and we're seeing massive delays, they're saying thank a Democrat. Can you talk to me about the effort being put forward by Democrats to get TSA funded?
Thanks for asking, because there are a few things that are important here. One, listen, Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And from the very beginning of this president's term, they've taken a my way or the highway approach. The reason why TSA is not being paid is because Republicans have made a decision to hold TSA agents hostage and to create chaos in airports all across the country because they don't want to get ICE under control. And if you go back to the one big ugly bill,
The brown shirts are
$191 billion
coming. The brown shirts are coming.
to the Department of Homeland Security, including $75 billion in the slush fund to ICE. They have more than enough money to make sure that every single TSA agent is paid. They've made an affirmative decision not to do so, which is why we've launched this discharge petition to force an up or down vote to ensure that we can pay TSA agents and reopen the other parts of the Department of Homeland Security,
fucking
like FEMA
Samsung voice
and the
imitation.
Coast Guard,
I probably have it left on Samsung. I'm supposed to switch it to Google. Google's way better.
With ICE or don't have to do with Donald Trump's extreme and violent mass deportation machine.
So if they're saying right now
Bernie.
that it's the Democrats'
Bernie
fault
Sanders
for not
was
funding
our only
TSA,
hope.
and the
If
Democrats
Bernie
have
Sanders had been
standalone
elected in
bills to fund
2016, America would be
TSA,
paradise right
then
now.
What is the excuse for TSA not being funded?
Because all it
Yeah,
takes
it's just
is a little help.
Republicans,
And that's why the
again,
rich want to keep the poor down, because they get a foothold and all of a sudden they don't want to shovel shit anymore.
These are pathological liars over on the other side of the aisle in terms of what many of them just do. And certainly we see
socialism
that
is the left-wing alternative to communism.
They know they're on the run. They know that the American people recognize that Donald Trump and Republican policies have been a complete and total failure. This guy promised to lower costs on day one. Costs haven't gone down. Costs have gone up. Republicans are losing elections all across the country, up and down the ballot. We've seen that now happening for about 15 consecutive months. Donald Trump is deeply unpopular. The one big ugly bill is unpopular. This reckless war of choice that Donald Trump has gotten us into in the Middle East is deeply unpopular. And the American people want to see taxpayer dollars being spent to improve their quality of life. And that's what Democrats have been fighting hard to achieve, whereas Republicans are spending billions of dollars to do things like drop bombs in Iran or to unleash violent, untrained, and mass ICE agents to brutalize or in some cases kill American citizens and violently target law-abiding immigrant families. And so, of course, they're trying to distract the American people, but we're not going to let them do it.
To that end, there is reporting that the White House is now asking or considering asking for $200 billion as a supplemental aid package for the ongoing Iran war. Can I have your reaction
$200
to
billion
that
is for future action. The billion a day
It's the
has been
craziest thing in the
munitions
world
we've
that the White House
used.
might potentially be floating.
Bombs are
Coming to
expensive.
Congress for an additional
Throwing a lot of
$200
bombs.
billion when they haven't justified a dime that has already been spent and have no view as to how to actually get us out of the situation that they recklessly got us into, and simply want taxpayers to be on the hook for tens of billions of dollars more when there's no justification for the billions of dollars
How
per
much
day that
money
they're
has
spending
left
right
the stock
now.
market since the
They've
start of the
not
Iran war?
made the case in any compelling way as to how
Since the start of the conflict with
the American
Iran, the
people have
U.S.
made
stock market has seen
been made
significant
safer by this
volatility.
conflict?
By late March,
Of course.
the S&P 500 had fallen
We're
roughly
seeing, as a
8.7
result
to 10%
of
below
this
its previous
reckless
record
war of
highs,
choice, cars
indicating
go
a
up,
substantial amount of
particularly
money had left the market.
gasoline
For
prices,
financial
which
advice,
are through
consult
the
a
roof
professional.
right now. By the way, this all happened when Donald Trump came to the House floor bragging about the fact that in his view, gasoline
How much
prices
money
were
per
down. The
capita
guy has
have
been a
Americans
complete and
lost
total
from the stock
failure.
market
And
going
so
down since the
while
start of
we
the Iran
haven't
war.
been presented with any request for additional funding,
Americans have experienced a per
they don't
capita
have
stock
any
market
ability,
loss
in my view,
estimated
to
between
justify
$5,700
additional
and
funding at this point in time when they
$13,000
haven't
since the
made the
Iran
case to the
conflict
American
began.
people, to the
This
Congress,
is based on market
or
capitalization
even to our
losses of $2 to
NATO
$4.5 trillion
allies as to
spread across a population
why
of
we're
roughly
in this situation in
340
the first
to
place.
350
We've
million
already
people.
seen a
For
few
financial
instances where
advice,
that
consult a
spending
professional.
is for this war is already out of control. The first couple of days cost roughly $5 to $6 billion.
So $5,000 to
The first 6 days of this
$13,000
conflict,
per
war,
person
incursion, or
in America
excursion, or whatever
in
they're going
losses.
with today, cost over
And that's
$11
not
billion.
from the bombing,
And now,
not
as
the
I
military
mentioned, there's that
expenditures.
reporting that
That's
suggests that they're looking for $200
investments
billion.
taking a beating, like
What
your
could
grandma
that money
losing her
be
pension
used
fund
for,
because
if
it
not
invested in this shit and went down.
dropping bombs in the Middle East at the hands of a president who swore up and down that
So you
there
don't
would be no
think
wars?
everyone spending $3 a day for the bombs is bad?
Kennedy, Trump said
Well, in the last
that
couple of weeks,
he's not going to
we
get
spent $5,000
America
per
into
person.
another reckless war of choice in the Middle East. President
So
Trump
far.
has done the exact opposite, gotten us into a reckless war of choice in the Middle East, spending billions and billions of dollars already, perhaps up to $30 billion have already been spent, if not more. And now he wants to come to us potentially for an additional $200 billion. Listen, this is the same group of people who enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, ripping health care away from millions of people, including children, women, and seniors. They also enacted the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history, $186 billion in their one big ugly bill. They've literally stole food from the mouths of hungry children and veterans. And so that money could and should be used to restore as many of the Medicaid cuts as possible. That money should be used to make sure that no one in America
I'm
goes
an
hungry.
actual communist.
That money should be used to make sure
I was a political science
that
major in
the
college.
money that was
I know what it
stolen from
means in
consumers
detail,
as a result of the
and
Trump
that's
tariffs,
and
which have
right.
cost them thousands of dollars
You don't know what
additional
communists are.
expense per year.
There's no such
and have
thing. There's
now
never been a
declared
communist government.
illegal and unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. The American people should have their money refunded
My
to
roommate
them. And of course,
with the old lady,
that money could be used to make sure
she's fucked.
that we extend the
She's a little
Affordable Care
lady.
Act
She
tax
can't do
credits.
shit. She can barely
So
walk.
more than
Her phone don't
20
work.
million
Her
Americans
son's in Chicago.
are put
And her
in a
son said if he ever gets
situation
to
that they're in
town,
right now because
the
of
dude
Donald
bullying
Trump,
me,
where
chump.
they can't afford to go see a doctor.
His real name is San Juan. Going to get
I
popped.
would also add that, TSA's budget, I checked their 2025 full year budget. It was like $11.8 billion, meaning TSA could have been funded 3 times over for the amount of money that Donald Trump has spent dropping bombs in the Middle East. Again, which would be bad enough, but even more egregious given the fact that he campaigned expressly on never doing this. I want to switch gears here to a different topic, and that is Pam Bondi. Do you think that what Pam Bondi is attempting to do in the aftermath of the subpoena being issued to her to come testify before for a private deposition
lies for Trump all the time.
in April,
She
that
don't
by
wanna
holding
testify.
a briefing, and this was just
She's gonna end up
took place
fucking pleading the
yesterday,
fifth
that
of
she's
that,
looking
like,
to
look,
basically
I need to talk to a
satisfy her
lawyer.
requirements in her own mind so that she doesn't have to fulfill any obligations to appear for that private deposition per the subpoena that she received.
Pam Bondi is a partisan, petulant, petty
All my
father.
shit was locked up.
She is a political hack. She's deeply unqualified.
Why
And
do I think
we
I'm a
saw
communist?
How she performed when she came
Because
before
I study
the House
political theory
Judiciary
in college,
Committee,
and
before
after
the American
carefully
people, performing for
observing
Donald
the
Trump and no one
opinions of the
else,
great scholars
acting
of
like
all
she's
human
his personal
history,
lawyer,
I decided
as
that
opposed to the
communism was
people's
the most
lawyer, which is
effective
the
form
job
of
the Attorney General, and she's
communal
engaging in a
society.
massive cover-up as it relates to the Epstein files, which is why, led by House Democrats, we have forced the
you know what?
Oversight Committee to subpoena
Type
her.
it right now.
And
You should be able to type it
Ryan,
in
as
one
you
sentence.
indicated,
What
she's
is the
trying to
definition
get
of
around
communism?
that by holding a briefing.
criticize it.
This
What is it?
unheard of as far as I'm concerned. There was no deposition transcript. There was no recordings. And there was no swearing her under oath. And so she can say all manner of things without fear of being prosecuted at some point later on for perjury. And so Summer Lee was exactly right that Pam Bondi needs to testify under oath before the American people so we can talk about the massive cover-up that the Department of Justice has undertaken. There are about 3 million files connected
Well, come on.
to
In the
the Jeffrey
Pines.
Epstein situation
You familiar with
that
In the Trees, the
Epstein
DJ,
survivors
the techno
have
DJ?
firmly and appropriately and passionately demanded be released.
What's the definition of
so we can
communism? Come
achieve
on.
Transparency.
Do you know what you're talking
full
about? Oh, he's
accountability.
Googling it.
You know, the
You're taking too
problem
long.
as
It's
it relates
one
to
sentence.
Pam Bondi and her failing to comply with a congressional subpoena is that the agency that would normally be tasked with enforcing that subpoena is the one that she herself leads. And so I spoke with Congressman Raskin, and he brought up the fact that Congress does have inherent contempt powers. Is that something that you think Congress would be in the right to wield in the event that Democrats took control of the House in the aftermath of the 2026 election, and we still have an attorney general who refuses to comply with the law?
You're
Congress has
Ukrainian,
inherent
and you
contempt
don't
powers,
think I know what a
and it's going to
communist
be
is.
one of the tools
No, I don't.
that we will
I'd like to
have
hear your
use
definition because
when
I'm
Democrats
obviously
take
just going
back
to
control
say
of the House of
the factual
Representatives
depth.
in order to make clear
No.
that there will
I'm the
be
educated person on my project.
if
You
congressional
say it. It's
subpoenas
one
are violated,
sentence.
or the Department
You
of
should have
Justice
spit it out
continues
immediately.
to try to conduct
It should have taken you 2
like
seconds.
it's above the law.
Communism
In
is
addition
when.
to a wide variety of other tools that we'll need to utilize. Listen, there's going to have to be accountability.
Why doesn't the shit get updated
And my
live?
view about how we move forward, our promise to the American people, is that we're going to relentlessly focus on the affordability crisis that Donald Trump thinks is a hoax. We're committed to driving down the high cost of living. We're committed to
TikTok.
fixing our broken healthcare system. At the same period of time, we're also committed to cleaning up corruption. And we know there's a lot of it that has taken place in the White House.
You gotta wait all
and
day
with
for
the
this guy.
Trump
Come on.
cartel.
What's the
And
definition of
Department
communism?
Justice
You
is
could
front
have
and center
Googled it. You should have just
in
gone,
that
hey,
regard,
Google, what's the definition of
particularly
communism?
as it relates to the active cover-up that many people have correctly concluded is taking place
Farming
right
you
now.
for content
and so,
now.
Yes,
I'm refreshing it so
certainly
I can
is the
see.
case that
Oh, there we
inherent
go.
contempt is something that should be under consideration right now.
Then correct me.
But
Okay.
James Comer,
fine.
who continues
Pussy.
to behave
Communism
like a
is
malignant
when
buffoon,
workers control the
is
means of
someone
production.
who is actively participating in the effort to shield the White
Flat
House.
definition.
He's leading the cover-up
There's never been a
caucus
communist
as
government,
opposed to
ever.
leading the oversight committee.
People say,
there.
governments like
Jeffries,
North
I
Korea
appreciate
say,
your time.
oh, we're communist.
Thank you much.
It's called
This is
gaslighting.
the audio version of this episode.
Yes,
Please
we're
make sure to
people,
click the link on the
government
screen to
by the people,
subscribe.
for the
And
people,
of course, to see more
for the
of
good
our
of the
video
people.
content, that subscribe button's on
Bullshit.
the screen as well.
See, in North Korea, let's compare that.
The
Do workers
economy.
control the means
so
of
we have to
production
be
in North
thoughtful
Korea?
about where we are investing the
No,
money
the government
from
tells
the government
factories
so
what to
that we
do
are
and
spurring
farms what to
job
do
growth
and
creation.
the government controls everything.
And
That's
that's
not
just
communism.
the opposite of what Donald Trump
Communism.
is doing.
Right. Well, to that end, Congressman, you're
The
obviously
people
running
making the
for
rules
re-election
for the
this term,
doctors
and midterms
are the
fast
doctors. The
approaching.
people making the
people
rules
who
for the
wanna help you
welders
campaign,
are the
what can they
welders.
do?
The people making
Well, they should
the
go to
rules for the machine
Dan
shops
Goldman
are the head machine
NY.com.
shop operators.
All my
The
social
people
media handles are also Dan Goldman.
making the
NY.
rules for the cooks are the cooks,
We
the
are,
best cooks.
We're moving.
The
We're
dishwashers,
really
dishwasher
pushing ahead
union.
with a great group, a great
Dishwashing's
campaign,
your
a great
thing, the best
platform.
dishwasher, the lead
would
dishwasher.
help to be in the majority, so
Controls
I can hold this
the rules
administration
for
accountable,
dishwashing.
and we can fix our
We have a
rigged
system. We have politicians telling doctors
so
what to
any
do.
support, volunteers,
Politicians who think the Earth's
financial,
flat and
otherwise,
6,000
it's all
years
welcome.
old
I'm gonna
are
put
telling
that link right here
doctors
on the
that
screen
you have to
and also
reimplant
the description of this
ectopic
video.
presidencies,
Congressman, as
which is
always,
impossible
thank you for the time.
and also really dangerous.
Thanks, Brian.
I'm joined now by Democratic strategist and senior advisor
So
to
it is a
Target Smart,
right-wing
Tom Bonnier.
philosophy
Tom, thanks for
because
joining
you
me.
have a small
Great to be
government, a
here.
limited
So
use
you
of government.
had a really
There really isn't
interesting,
a
I think
government
the
at
most
all.
interesting takeaway
It's just
from the
guilt.
Texas primary. Can you explain
But in the
what that
space
takeaway
age,
was?
If
Yeah,
you don't do
well,
what the Air Guild
your
says, you're not
folks
going to have
will
much to
remember
say
that
about it.
you
No
had
one's
a
going to
great
hear you because
conversation with
vacuum
Mark
doesn't
Elias about
transmit
this the other
sound.
day about the Texas gerrymander. It was the domino that set off
And the
all
EPA
the
people,
other
environmental protection
redistricting
people,
around the country. But Republicans
They are
went
just
to
going
say,
to
"We're
tell
gonna
you
grab a
what you're
bunch
allowed to
of
do at 9.
congressional
And
seats,
everybody, the secret is the
by
high
rejoining
levels,
maps
the leaders of each
mid-decade.
guild. Of
And
each,
so they
they're
created
going to have a
these
bunch of
districts
small
that they
sections
believed
of
to
focus
be out of reach for
expertise.
Democrats, where they're just going to
Every
knock off some Democratic incumbents,
top
get some
end
districts
leader
out of reach, and basically steal
is going to
a
have access to the
handful
military.
of seats.
Basically,
And what
they're
they
now
were
able to
relying
tell the
on was
super
the
sophisticated
fact
advanced
that
super soldiers to
Donald
kill whoever
Trump
they
in
want.
2024 did
So,
pretty well.
you do what the
with
doctors say,
Hispanic
or
voters.
else.
So
You
they
do
created
what
a couple of districts
water
that were like Trump plus
providers,
10,
the water cleaning,
another one that was like
environmental
Trump
people
plus
say, or else
15,
air people,
and
food people.
you know when they did it. Looked like
Transportation
maybe a smart
people.
move. I do have to say, I think at the time I did say this might be a dummy
So you
mandate.
can't
have
say
to be
no.
careful. I'm not saying I'm a genius.
the
you know,
superior
but
in each field.
the
That's the
swings,
final
again, you've
word.
been talking
There's nothing
about this for
above
a
them.
long time. These types of swings we've been seeing elsewhere in special elections would potentially put these seats in reach.
Anyhow, when you look at the primary results in Texas, how many votes were cast by Democrats? How many votes were cast by Republicans?
I asked about the audio earlier.
You can pick either ballot. There's no partisan registration. So they're going to go where the excitement is. And what happened is, in all 4 of these districts that are new districts they created to be their safe seats.
That's one thing I considered buying. I haven't bought yet. The microphone. There's a lapel mic and transmitter series for the shit.
Reach in November. Maybe we
might buy it.
1 or 2 of them off. This isn't, definitively saying now Democrats are going to win them, but
did that work? My voice is low and carries and shit anyway.
Going into,
can you hear it clearly now?
Coming out of this primary.
And you put some of that information on Twitter. I'm going to throw that on the screen. In these 4 districts, Congressional District 9, 28, 34, and 35.
I'm impressed it hasn't fucked up.
Had
I was fighting this camera all day.
16,000 Republicans turn out.
I did get the videos, though. I haven't edited it yet. But I did get a couple of videos of motorcycle runs backed up
these
to
aren't small
cloud servers.
That we're seeing.
And then
and so, to your
they say you
exact
can
point,
edit on their servers. So I'm going to see how
these trends hold,
that holds up.
Look,
doing video editing on a phone is
certainly over the
hard.
course of a few months, which is what the amount of time that we have between now and the general election. But if these trends
sounds
hold,
good now,
then
Lumar.
you're right. We may be looking at a dummy mander situation where the ultimate
camera is halfway between me and the TV. It's like closer to the TV than me.
And failed to redraw these maps to garner themselves a few more seats, but that's
so I'm in a money
chain
spending mood.
reaction
I
where
bought
Democrats
everything in the last couple of days.
And we're certainly not going to see Republicans overperform in the 5 seats, for example.
I got a new
that
motorcycle helmet
Democrats drew
coming.
in
It's a nice
California,
one.
meaning this
My current one's really shitty, and the wind pulls it up at 100 miles an hour. And I got the fast bike insured again.
In terms of the Democratic seats in Texas,
So,
but now, because of that, you have a bunch of Democratic seats that are newly redrawn in California to counteract something that never even materialized in Texas.
That's right. I mean, the net effect of the redistricting now, again, when we went into this, I'll speak for myself, but I think a lot of Democrats were
Zombies is John Aaron Woody,
that this
my high
was
school era bully.
Face up their sleeve, and through these types of anti-democratic measures, they could come in and basically hold on to the
Resistance
House by
stalker,
just gerrymandering
pedivore,
the state. To your point,
into killing and eating
they did
children
this
for a
in
junior
Texas,
girl.
which meant
He's
Democrats
retarded.
Truly had
Conspiracy
no choice
theory nut
to
bag.
be able to
Family
go
had a
into
meth
these other
lab. He's
states.
blown
And,
out.
again, in a lot of
Aaron,
places,
you got to leave me
voters
alone
actually
before you
voted,
people
which is
hurt.
something they did
They're going to
in
find
Texas
you if I go off. Maybe not as bad as Richard, but they will find you, hold you accountable.
But now, the outlook is, it is more likely than not.
In fact, now that you know what's going on and shit, you might, if you want to protect society but keep people from getting hurt, what you should do is take your energy and attack my bullies like Lou and Richard and Gag.
A big mistake. I think they have to have a lot of regret. And to the point that you made about those districts and just the huge turnout disparity, some people might look at this and say, well, it's just a primary.
Because you may think you can control me and limit your abuse
exactly
to not set me off and just ride the edge. What if someone else says,
by Republicans at the top of the ticket in this Senate race to go out and energize their voters and turn them out? They spent a record amount of money. Yes, Democrats spent a lot of money, but less than half.
He's a consummate bully.
And by the way, it's
wouldn't
not
surprise
like
me.
I
don't know any of his business or
primary
people.
It's not like just John Cornyn was on the ballot, in which case, what's the point of turning out if you're just basically voting for the incumbent? There was a pretty bruising primary between 2 candidates who have
He's a conspiracy theorist, meth head. He really is into
adrenochrome. So
adrenochrome.
if ever there was a reason to draw these Republicans out, not just
He thinks there's something
ideologically,
to
but
it. He
also
thinks there's some
financially,
magical power.
This is a pretty damn
He's
good test
brainwashed.
case.
There was
Adrenochrome is oxidized adrenaline.
And again,
you can buy it from chemical supply stores or make it.
Primarily Latino districts.
So your body metabolites it when you make it.
Not exclusively, but again, significant.
Oh, and he's a fucking pussy. I gave him a ride on my motorcycle back in the day, and he clutched me like a fucking newborn monkey. He was like Punch with Down syndrome.
Great concern for Republicans that in general, Hispanic voters just came out. They chose a Democratic ballot. They chose to come out in this race. And not only did they choose to come out, they came out in record numbers, not just exceeding Republican turnout. The other number that blew my mind is that when you look at a lot of these Hispanic majority counties in the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, you had more people voting Democratic in this primary than voted for Vice President Harris in the general election in 2024, which just doesn't happen. You don't have primary turnout exceeding general election turnout, and you never see it exceeding presidential turnout, but it happened in these counties, and that has to terrify Republicans.
Can you talk a little bit about that Latino vote? Because I think the fatal flaw for these Republican maps is that they were drawn with this idea in mind that the realignment that we saw in 2024 was going to be permanent. And in fact, it doesn't look like that realignment is permanent. In fact, it looks like we're seeing some pretty egregious swings in the opposite direction.
And Aaron, I told you way back when the impersonation thing happened. I never trust someone after that. It's dead to me.
50-point swings among Latinos.
You'll never. It'll never be anything but fuck you. What can I do to put you in danger?
For Republicans moving forward.
To send the families of the victims
and
out.
The point you made is something I think we need to reemphasize here, is that we were all subjected after the 2024 election to this.
Same with Anderson. He's an impersonator.
Not just a swing in this election, but
can't trust anything or anyone he's near.
He wrote a book about this, about the emerging Republican multicultural working class majority. We were all told
I really will hurt people if you don't fucking leave me alone.
Realigning off race and ethnicity lines into class and economic lines, and obviously it was a fallacy then. But if it was a realignment, there's been a realignment in the last year in what we saw. Because to your point, Latino voters across Texas, but to be clear, this hasn't been limited to Texas. Right. When we've looked at special elections around the country, we've seen Latino voters swinging back massively.
I recently learned how bad Tabasco, the company, is. They're dicks.
In Virginia and New Jersey, we saw the
like
same
their
thing.
products.
Not only were Democratic candidates
I'm very
going
conflicted
back
about that.
to
It's like Chick-fil-A.
the
Good sandwich,
that
bad
we
people.
saw, from a decade ago, but actually in many cases exceeding. Does that mean that Democrats can take Latino voters for granted and just assume that their votes will be there in November? No, of course not. We're talking about swing voters, but the fact that we saw these margins, just ridiculous margins, ridiculous turnout among Latino voters, especially in South Texas, is an incredibly good sign for Democrats. Not just for James Tallarico in the Senate race, which is I think what he'll need to be able to make this race competitive and potentially win it, which I believe he can, but again, around the country.
Well, it's difficult to talk about just the Latino vote when we're speaking about realignments without also discussing the youth vote. So what are your main takeaways?
Don't associate with other victims because it attracts your other bullies.
Good luck. It is existential for the Democratic Party to feel like we are going to lose the youth vote in a way that the 2024 election showed. And so are you seeing those same trends? Are they swinging back? Is there something in the middle? What can we look for moving forward in terms of the political affiliation of young people?
A lot of encouraging data so far. We think back to 2018 and the great blue wave election that was really fueled by massive record-setting youth turnout. There was no group
I should do a face with
between the
catastrophic. I don't know Gag. I have nothing to do with him.
Blue wave.
He was originally friend of partners with Crowd Magazine pedophile. He was on his channel promoting him, and I came in to warn him, hey, dude's a chill moment, a troll. And dude was like, I don't care, I'm down with that. And I said, maybe someone should tell Child Protective Services you're hanging out with a pedophile and you got little kids. So he's been bullying me for more than a decade. And then he and Richard had a falling out over something. Actually, I don't think I know what that is. That's not the one I know about. Lou, I know. Dude, I don't know. And Richard was making videos about how he hopes that Geg's kids find him hanging from a rafter like they did his mama.
So it's a pretty big data set. And when you look at the individual data there, youth turnout again surged by more than any other group. In the 2022 Democratic primary, so the last midterm primary election in Texas, voters under the age of 30 were only 6% of votes cast in the early vote. In the early vote this year, they were 10%.
So, I don't know what the quality of this is. Can y'all spin around, look around the room and shit like I can? Like, is it full-on 360?
When you look at these college campuses, you look at the turnout that they got at UT. Record-setting numbers.
I gotta fucking put my room together.
I think Democrats have to look at that and say, this is great. We see that there's a path there, but also there's work to be done between now and Election Day.
And by the way, that's why Trump and Republicans are so hell-bent on trying to pass the SAVE Act, because, for example, student IDs wouldn't be a valid form of ID.
Did you all even see it when I move the camera angle like that? Like, is that
forms of identification are. So that's like one instance of why they're so worried. But this really is a huge misstep, I think, by Republicans, because they had a chance, like this once-in-a-generation chance, to redefine themselves.
Why
with
is
young
Noodles
people in a way that
always?
hadn't been done before.
I've never had a
I'm
conversation with
I remember
him.
being on college campus.
I know he's a
college
victim
campus, and
of my
this was-
bullies.
This was
But a long time, a couple
college
of
that
years
was
ago,
probably a little bit more
we tried to interact, and I was like,
conservative
"Look,
than most.
when one
And
victim comes in, they
you
bring
could not
bullies
find
related
somebody
to
who was
bullies."
not
Like
like
my
an
bullies
Obama
bully him,
voter.
but he's got
You
other
had
bullies
much
that I don't
wealthier
know,
kids on
and
this
we're gonna leave it
college
that way.
campus. You had kids that
We
weren't
can't
so
help each
wealthy,
other.
like, there was
We
no
could
race-based
hurt
divide,
each
there was
other.
no wealth-based
Goodbye.
divide, and it was just
Never thought
it would
again.
be kind of social suicide to not have been an Obama voter.
Unless you're planning to
back when I
walk
was
into a
in
church
school,
to
like
slaughter
in,
children and hit me up
2007 to
and
2011.
team up and watch shows back.
And now they had this opportunity
But
where
be
Republicans
very
really
upfront
had,
with that.
had
You're not
one
gonna get
culture in a
multiple
way
messages.
that I didn't think I would see, certainly in my lifetime. But to squander that so quickly by basically just engaging in Bush era redux, like foreign incursions in the Middle East, lying about the Epstein files, saying that you're going to lower prices and then raising prices. I mean, just taking all of this good.
Is there a way we can spin on ourselves? I asked it a minute ago. I don't know.
All of that up and
First
missing
time
out on
using
a
it.
generational opportunity.
Mess with your
to
screen
win
and
over a
tilt your
generation,
phone.
A younger
It might work.
generation in a way that we haven't seen.
I think it
Republicans
is
capable of doing.
360. I'm fucking
That's
broadcasting.
exactly right. I mean, when I was looking at the data leading up to the
Yeah,
2024
fist fight Aaron.
election, this is something I flagged.
I have fist fight Aaron,
on
and I
Twitter
won.
At the time was
He got to punch
this
me in the face
really
one time. He's a
disconcerting
coward and
trend
sucker
where,
punched me.
especially among
Spit in my
young
face,
men
I closed my eyes and
with
punched me through the window of the car and
you're
took off
actually
running.
seeing these huge gaps in
But I've also
young
fist fighted him
men
in the bushes.
under the age of 23. They were
And
actually more
he ain't that strong.
registered
I fuck him up.
Republican than Democrat, which is not something we have
And that was
seen in
before
generations. And so to
years
your
of
point, Republicans
toughening
have
and
made
weightlifting
incredible
and that shit. I fuck him up.
and then they basically took all of the rationale that was given to these younger voters, especially
If
younger
you're on
men,
PC, like click the screen and drag it, or look
thrown
around the
out
screen
the
for
window
interactive things
in the
about
past
360.
year.
I'm
To
not
your point
sure
about
what the
winning
UI
culture,
looks
they're
like,
now
but it is.
very much conceding.
And
the
you can
culture
see it when I spin it.
in different areas, much to their detriment. And so you're seeing a reversal in the voter registration data, but I think more importantly, you're seeing it in these elections, like the 2025 general elections. You know, the age gaps.
It's
in New York,
new.
and I know New York City is New York City. It's
But
its
it
own
fucked
thing,
up
but to
so
see
bad
voters
earlier. I was
setting
scared. I
age
made a
gaps,
vlog
you know,
already about
Donnie
it. Like,
and
is it gonna
his
fucking
victory, but also
let me
seeing
down?
that
And
for the gubernatorial candidates. The
but I read that
Democrats
some
in
the
New Jersey,
battery could be
Virginia.
bad, the memory
Now
card
to
could be
see
bad, and the
that
firmware could be
repeated
bad.
in
I
Texas,
did have a
it's
lockup
enough
during
of a sample
firmware
size
refresh.
coming together where again, I think Republicans have to be looking at this and growing very concerned about the mistakes they've clearly made and what path that leaves them to potentially holding on to Congress in November. It's a much more narrow path at this point, which is why I think they are choosing this voter suppression path, like you say, with the SAFE Act and so on and so forth.
Well, look, I think that there's a lot of good news here for Democrats to take, but I don't want to be Pollyanna about this, especially considering the fact
I might
that,
get my old
like,
PlayStation
right
back. It depends on
we
what's
don't
on
have
my
the
boat.
House, we don't
I haven't
have the
seen it in a
Senate, we
year.
don't have the White
It
House,
was
we don't have the Supreme Court,
unguarded.
we don't have the majority of
First
state
thing someone would
legislatures,
steal.
and so
I don't know.
I think that we have
But
to
I'm
also
supposed to
have
get a
some
chance
humility
to
here.
clean it
So-
out at some point.
Which lends itself to my next question is, what are you most worried about as
My
far as
blood
Democrats
pressure?
are concerned in the lead up to this election? While there's
If
still
you
some
can't
time
spin
to
it, there may
maybe
be some
rectify some of
controls
those
or sub
issues.
menu you can access where
Yeah,
you
I mean, what am I
can
not
spin
worried
it.
about?
I'm
I
not
think
sure, but I think I
anyone
am
who's lived
broadcasting
through the
360.
last,
Not
8 years
100%,
or so has to
yeah.
be concerned about sort of
Look in
everything.
the
But
options
I think
around
you
the
hit
screen. Like hover your
on a
mouse
lot
over the
of the high
screen,
notes
see if
here,
there's any
just in
sub
terms
menus.
of the potential voter suppression efforts. Republicans will stop at nothing, whether it's the SAFE Act, whether it's this
No.
idea of putting
That's Dason.
Trump's
Conspiracy
ICE
theorists from
soldiers
Orange
at polling
County.
places to try to suppress the vote.
They have actually, they're
They will
involved
stop
each
at
other.
nothing. And also, just again,
But
my
only
concern
recently.
would be Democrats, especially folks who are investing in this and funding these campaigns, to look at it and just say, well, it's so great. Things have gone so well in these special elections and these primary elections that we don't need to invest in this further. And
I haven't hit him with a bat
be
yet. That
big
could happen.
mistake. We need to be communicating more effectively, more directly with these communities that have underperformed with us in the past. So younger voters of color, especially voters of color generally. We don't have the luxury, frankly, of taking any demographic group off the table and say, well, they're good. We don't have to talk with them. And so we need.
I
that
need some
investment.
fucking
We need
donors to
be
get the
doing
project
that work.
going.
We need to get louder.
I'm going
frankly,
into debt now.
because
Not
what we're
only
doing
did I
is
put
working,
my
right?
money
That's
on the
the
line
good
to run a
news,
business
is what
before,
we're doing is working.
when I had a
What
big
they're
chunk of
doing is
money.
incredibly unpopular.
Now I borrow
But if
some money.
we take our foot off the gas pedal for a second.
Good terms and
we'll
everything,
pay
0% interest,
And
6
I
months to
think
pay.
too, the way I'm thinking about this is like we've been
It should
lucky
work
enough
out.
to have the Mamdanis of the world and Mikey Sherrill,
now it's important
Spanbergers win their elections. But these, if we've learned anything from 2024, it's that, to your point, I mean, these coalitions are not guaranteed, and these voters are not inelastic, and so I look at
the
this
one
stuff
with
as the
whacking the dude with the bat.
We have the opportunity.
There's a second video of me fighting someone with a bat, but I don't get the actual impact. But I get the fight, calling the cops, and everything leading up to him jumping over the wall and jumping on me.
That they should get reelected and that the Democratic Party can work.
I fucked them up.
But
and called the cops. Cops get there and arrested me. Took me to jail. Then the dude who was a meth head, I just got in jail that day, continued his rampage, fucked over other people, got arrested, ended up in jail, and they put him in as my bunkmate. Straight up, right next to me.
Who ran on affordability, and things are getting more expensive, and there's a backlash against him. So I think that this is very much a situation where this
Orange County
blind
gangster
partisan allegiance of the past is gone, and that a lot more people who come into the political process are not just team blue or team red, and they're perfectly content to go one way or the other if it means that the previous party who was representing them failed to own up to their campaign promises. And so I look at the people who've won again. This is the line at the beginning. This is it doesn't. We easily lose people again.
Well, I think can't hammer home enough that when you exit polls, New Jersey, Virginia, when you look at the data we have from the national polls, is the Democratic Party.
I think public voting on sabotage. It's a public record. Everyone can
succeed in that, right? By the Democratic Party. But they were
bat that stays in my career. That's how he gets paid for appearances.
If we start to get it for popular people,
Frank.
The Democratic will be reflective of the popular politicians. So, I think that was well. As I appreciate what you're doing. Now, see and hear more from you.
The various dark
cesspool that is the internet these days. Well, highly recommend for anybody who's watching and listening. If you're not yet subscribed to Tom's channels, please go ahead and subscribe. Tom, as always, I appreciate the time.
In the Pines. Have you ever heard of In the Trees?
Version of this episode, click that link
He's
right on the screen and please make sure to subscribe.
DJ.
And of course, to see more video content, that subscribe button is on the screen as well.
I hated Jews before it was cool.
Donald Trump's lawyers, including Alina Habba, are sanctioned $50,000 by a federal
you see, in my
judge
perfect
Florida
communist world,
a frivolous
Habba
lawsuit that was
will be a
dismissed
stripper,
by the
not a
court.
lawyer.
This is the first of many sanctions motions that have been filed, and the judge is set to hear the rest of the sanction motions that are filed by other individuals who were sued, including Hillary Clinton, who are seeking more than $1 million in sanctions. Donald Trump
These six
has
most
filed
important
his
steps to set up your California LLC.
in the 11th Circuit.
Coming time to set up my business.
Your California LLC and show you how it can take only a few minutes to file, whether you're using a service
I need
or
money.
doing it yourself. While we're here, we'll reveal shortcuts to cut fees and guide you through post-formation tasks. Don't skip them or your LLC might vanish. Are you ready? Let's dive in.
I'm just setting up new
Step
equipment.
1. Choosing a name. The first step is deceptively
I don't know if
important,
it-
since naming issues are actually the primary cause of LLC filing
But the
rejections
Wi-Fi
in
strength is
California.
good.
You'll want a name that suits your business activities, but you also need to follow
When I get
these
the computer
rules.
in here,
The
I'm gonna
name
get
should end
like
with
a
limited
modem
liability
and
company,
a
limited
hard
company,
bar.
limited co, LLC, or LC. Avoid names that suggest your LLC is a government agency, bank, insurance company, or any other business requiring special licensing. Avoid using any words that imply you're a different business entity, such as corp, inc, nonprofit, etc. And finally, choose a unique name distinct from existing ones to avoid confusion and rejection. Verify it, no compromises. You can easily check the availability of your chosen name for free by conducting a California business name search through the California portal online. If the name is available, reserve it for up to 60 days by going to California's BizFile online portal. To find all these important links and learn more about the naming guidelines set out by the California Secretary of State, visit our California information page. Step 2. Find an agent for service of process. You'll need to find a registered agent, known in California as an agent for service of process. This is a necessary step when completing articles of organization.
Yeah, I knew
More on
about
that in
this.
Step
You have to
3.
pay someone,
This
an
person or
organization
business
to
entity will receive important legal
basically be your
documentation on
mailbox.
behalf of your LLC, like notices from the government or legal documents.
Their
You
services
must have a
went
physical
that, though.
California address or be an authorized business entity in the state. You can be your own agent or appoint a friend or family member. The important thing to remember is the agent's name and address appears on the Articles of Organization, which makes it completely public info. And no, you can't use a P.O. box. You might decide that that's a big reason to sign up with a registered agent service. Actually, 65% of our readers and viewers go with a service, and they're onto something. Paying for a registered agent service costs about $10 a month or less, and besides protecting your privacy, it frees you from some paperwork, saving you hours that may be dedicated to your business. If you file through our friends at Northwest, they'll provide agent services for free for 1 whole year. We really like that they scan your mail so you can also check it virtually. We've negotiated specifically with Northwest and other services and may earn a commission if you choose to use our links. But we genuinely do recommend their services for its value
Can I
and
do a
privacy
live stream
protection.
for 24
If you go
hours?
with any professional service, just the
want
name
me
of
to-
the agent has to
wanna
be
watch me
cited
fuck
on the
your mother
Articles of Organization
twice?
Form LLC-1. Step 3. Filing your LLC Articles of Organization. This is the step that registers your LLC with
I
the
would like to
Secretary of
live
State.
stream
So
more.
congrats! This document
And
includes
would
LLC
regularly
name,
do it over
business address,
politics and
service
stuff.
process info, and management info. To file, you
If
have
I
three
had the
options.
time
Fill out Form LLC-1
and the
and
stalkers
either mail
weren't
it or deliver
so
it in
insistent
person
on
to
sabotage.
Sacramento
We've already
or
had
Los
a
Angeles
handful of
offices.
stalker attacks
Be
tonight.
prepared to pay
We've had
$15
doxing
special
threats
handling fee if
and
you
saying that
submit
my
the
mechanic's going to
LLC-1
swat
in
me.
person. You can also file online through the California Secretary of State's website. Regardless of the method, approval typically takes around 7 business days.
I'm not just
and
a
will cost you
fascinating person, I'm a
$70. If you have an
fascinated
existing
person.
LLC from another state and you want to operate in California, you'll need Form LLC-5, application to register a foreign limited liability company. Step 4, creating an LLC operating agreement.
California's
Here's
great,
a
but it's
little
actually
secret.
hard to run a
Operating
business here,
agreement
so
is not legally required in California, but it's still highly recommended. This internal document, inaccessible to the public, outlines ownership structure, member rights and responsibilities, profit distribution, and internal procedures. It's a vital tool for alignment and conflict
there's
prevention.
templates for that shit. I've already
Some
looked
banks
into
may
that.
request an operating
Standard.
agreement and business plan when opening a business bank account or applying for a loan. To make things easier for you, we provided a free operating agreement template on our information page.
There
You'll
we
find
go.
it right below this section. We've also included a free
I
business plan
need to
generator
get
there too. Step
an
5.
EIN
Obtaining
number
an
instead of
LLC
business. I
EIN,
have business
Employer
bank accounts
Identification
and shit.
Number.
I
Almost there.
built
The
my
next step
credit
is
and done really
obtaining
well.
an LLC EIN, which is a
But
federal tax
corporations
identification
also have
number.
credit, and it
This
takes a
unique
while.
number allows the IRS to identify and track your business's tax and filing status. You'll need the EIN to open a business bank
I don't
account,
know what
manage
fish
federal and
tank
state
is.
taxes, and hire employees. The process is super
I am an
simple
amateur
and completely free of
filmmaker.
charge through the IRS.
I should learn how to make
After you
video
get
better
confirmation that your LLC's name information have been approved,
and then
head to the
rent
federal
out my
government's
talent.
IRS application portal and fill out the online form.
I got the skates
Make
on the
sure
other
you
day.
Only go through the official federal site.
Only fell once.
Never pay anyone for an EIN. There are a lot of scammy sites out there that come up when you Google it, so be mindful. If you want to be 100% sure, you can find the official link on our California guide.
Oh,
Step 6. File a beneficial ownership information report. Beginning January 2024, LLC owners need to file a beneficial ownership information report, or BOI, with the U.S. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN. New LLCs will need to file their report within 90 days of formation. The BOI report contains information meant to identify the true owners of an LLC. There's no charge for filing it, but failure to file an accurate report on time can result in a $500 per day fine. You can do this online or by mail. For detailed information on how to do this, you can check out our tutorial here and linked below. Post-formation steps. After you've successfully formed your LLC, there are a few important things to keep in mind. All LLCs in California are required to file an initial statement of information within 90 days of the LLC being formed. Thereafter, the statement has to be filed every 2 years. The statement can be filed in person or by mail by completing Form LLC-12 and submitting to this address, or submit it online at BizFile. The filing fee is $20. That price ain't bad when you consider that the penalty fee is $250, and there's the risk the state will prohibit you from continuing in business. A California LLC also must pay an annual franchise tax of $800, even if it did no business. Driving your LLC to success is good news, but it comes with some bad news. Additional fees kick in that vary from $900 for revenues between $250,000 and $500,000, and $11,790 if you end up making more than $5 million. Next, keep your business assets and transactions separate from personal ones with separate financial accounts. This is to maintain your LLC's limited liability protection. Mixing business and personal transactions is commingling and will expose you to the risk that creditors can pierce the corporate veil. That is, go after your personal assets to satisfy business debts. And lastly, check to see what insurance protection you may need. Having business insurance is wise since all businesses face risks. Besides, some types of insurance are required by law. To simplify the process, a professional service like Northwest, who we mentioned earlier, charge a nominal fee and can help manage things like this for you, as well as serve as a hotline for answering questions, saving you time and effort so you can focus on running your business. And that's it. You've now learned how to set up an LLC in California. All the resources mentioned in this video can be found in the description below. We hope you found this video really useful. If you have any more questions, explore the rest of our channel and website for free resources and guides to start your California business. If you have any questions at all, hit us up.
Oh, shit. I probably should report that to the police.
Hey everyone, you've seen me debunk quantum mysticism nonsense as well as autism-related pseudoscience. What do you get when these two realms collide? The telepathy tapes. What is that? Who's behind it? And what kinds of lies do they spew? Let's talk about it. Autism can be a very sensitive topic for a number of reasons.
Yeah, tell me about it. Oh no, what the fuck, dude? This should work fine. Aaron must be on meth to be able to sleep. He's on the East Coast, 3 hours ahead.
Did you please fire or ambulance?
Yeah, I need the police. Right now I'm being extorted.
What's the address of the emergency, sir?
It's not physical. I'm on a live stream online right now. My stalkers are extorting me, telling me if I don't PayPal them money immediately, they'll publish my social security number right now.
Okay, so where are you at, sir?
The address is the Hardtard, THEHARDTARD.
Now, where are you at right now?
No, that's some information I'm going to keep secret because they're also saying they're going to SWAT me.
Well, I need to know where you're at for the officers to contact you.
No, you don't. They can join the live stream from wherever they're sitting without even getting up.
Sir.
Yeah, they can. They did it last week. I'm being extorted by an armed gang right now.
What's your name?
Mr. Wood.
Okay, I I need to know where you're at, sir. For the
I will
officer's
not
contact.
divulge information. It's personal protected information. I'm the victim of stalking. I'm live. People want to know where I am, and the hackers likely know anyway, but that's another violation of my rights and invasion of my privacy.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and document that you called then, okay, sir?
Yeah, they need to get on there right now and make their own records and investigation to look at this flagrant extortion going on. Pay us or we'll dox you.
Okay, sir. I'll document that you called. Thank you.
Better. You better. Because I certainly documented it. We're live. Aaron's a meth head. I'm up late because I've been busy and fucking... Yeah, but it's still 3 here, 6 there. These guys have small penises. Diddler Hunter. You diddled children? What? It's funny you talk about protecting kids, but you're endangering them badly. And as usual, streams spent most I'll kill a bunch of children and force the families of the victims to hunt you down. Your nigga chain AI. You suck nigga dick, motherfucker. Okay, the phone is fucking up half the time and I don't get it. Like, that's not a bullshit phone. It has been plagued with tech problems. That's... Fuck, it's not the new one anymore. I was gonna say it's the best, you know. It's last year's flagship Android. That's still a top $10,000 phone. Like, what the fuck? Although there are all those urban legends about... Apple does it for sure. Like, when they come out with their new shit, they'll release updates to slow down and fuck up old shit to encourage you to upgrade to the new shit. But it's only 1 year old. Bro, not expensive should last some serious time. Last time the police jumped in the live stream, they would have gotten an eye full of this nonsense, but I gotta file some complaints on them tomorrow anyway, so nigga. Oh, the cookies, I forgot cookies. Alright, I'm out for the night.